believe we are beginning. Start. Namaste, everyone. Welcome, good morning, and greetings to everyone over here on the occasion of Teachers' Day today. I think it's a very good, auspicious day for all of us to get together for this intellectual exercise in the IKS series. So at the outset, I take this opportunity to welcome all our participants who have registered for this webinar that is being conducted by NLD as part of its IKS series. And most of you or some of you who have been regularly attending NLD's webinars, FDPs, sessions and certificate courses already know a lot about the work that we are doing in the domain of teacher training. And we are fully committed to IKS training, teaching, and dissemination through our webinars and FDPs. And this webinar on Lokasangraha model of development, insights from the life of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar, is just another initiative to bring IKS to all of you, because IKS has become an extremely crucial aspect of NEP implementation, and the growing interest in teaching, training, research in Indian knowledge systems among faculty members, students, research scholars is highly encouraging. So I thank all our participants for showing their interest in this webinar and joining us. I also extend a welcome to our resource person for today, Dr. Pallavi Joshi, on behalf of my team at NLD, Dr. Pradyuman sir, Dr. Pratibha, and Dr. Vikas. I am Dr. Nidhi Shendurnikar and I'm part of NLD's core team. Also extending heartfelt welcome to Professor Ankur Joshi sir. He had conducted a very, very interesting FDP on IKS research a few months ago, and sir has been very appreciative and encouraging of our efforts, and we are very happy to have you on our platform once again, sir. So with this, let's begin the proceeds of our session today. This webinar, where Dr. Pallavi is going to introduce us to the Lokasangraha model of development, is about the concept of Lokasangraha, which is mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita and other Indic scriptures, and how this concept has the potential to address contemporary governance and leadership challenges, which, by the way, are manifold, especially looking at the urban crisis that we face in our metro towns. The recent examples of floods in Gurugram, Himachal Pradesh, Uttarakhand, and latest in Punjab are a very good example of what are the challenges that we face in terms of governance, administration, bureaucracy, etc. So the concept of Lokasangraha, it comprises of ideas which talk about sustainability, inclusive growth, economic development, and public welfare in general. And I'm sure that those of you who have some orientation to Indic ideas in governance, policy, and political thought know that in IKS, we have a very rich tradition of Kautilya's Arthashastra and many other texts which talk about these aspects and which lay down very carefully how public welfare can be achieved. In this webinar, Dr. Pallavi is going to pivot her talk to Devi Ahilyabai Holkar's leadership and governance, and how it perfectly encapsulates the idea of Lokasangraha in practical management, decision-making, leadership, and governance. And just to share with all our participants, this is a brief orientation to an extended FDP that we plan to do with Dr. Pallavi very, very soon. So this session will work as an orientation to what you can expect if you are interested in registering for this FDP. Dr. Pallavi Joshi, we are very grateful to you, ma'am, for accepting our invitation. There's been a lot of back and forth and discussion for doing this session, and I'm glad that it's the right day to do such a session. I have the privilege of introducing Dr. Pallavi to our participants. She is a faculty member and research associate at FMS Wisdom, Banasthali Vidyapeeth, which, by the way, I keep following their page on LinkedIn, and you are doing wonderful work in promoting Indic ideas. She has a PhD in management studies. She has qualified UGC NET, and she has a MBA, a specialization in HR. Currently, she is a faculty member and research associate at the Department of Commerce and Management at Banasthali Vidyapeeth, where she is teaching very, very interesting courses such as Indian Ethos and Culture, Bharatiya Prabandhan, Corporate Social Responsibility, Business Ethics, Social Intelligence, and Conflict Resolution. She has wide experience of being a visiting faculty at different institutions such as Devi Ahilyabai Vishwavidyalaya, Vrije University in Netherlands. She's completed her PhD in 2024 from Banasthali Vidyapeeth. Her PhD was focused on towards Bharatiya model of good governance, insights from the Lokasangraha approach. And I'm sure that some insights from her PhD work will also be shared during the course of this session. She is proficient in Indian knowledge systems, qualitative research methods, management studies, and several other areas. And she has contributed widely to many research projects that were sponsored by different government and non-government organizations. She has a prolific list of academic activities, publications, conference presentations. But in the interest of time, I would not really like to go into those details. I'm sure we will get more of an opportunity to know her when she's with NLD for the FDP. And apart from her academic pursuits, she is someone who likes to read books, write poems. She likes cooking. She's also into video editing and making craft items, which is wonderful. I think doing all of this as something extra, something additional, where we can follow our passion, always helps us to enrich our academic pursuits. So with this brief introduction, I hand over the session to Dr. Pallavi ma'am. Just some housekeeping rules for all our participants. Kindly be on mute during the session. The chat box is open, so you can use it for question, answer, interaction, discussion. I'll be sharing a feedback link, which all of you who have registered and are in this forum would need to fill in. And the link will be active 15 minutes post the session. So please pay attention to the feedback link. It's important for you to fill the feedback form so that you receive your certificate. Over to you, Dr. Pallavi ma'am.
Thank you so much, Nidhi, for the generous introduction. And thank you so much for moderating the webinar as well. And special thanks to Nucleus of Learning and Development for organizing this webinar. And many thanks to all the participants who have joined. So before I share the screen, I think we can devote 2 minutes to offer our prayers to Bhagwan Ganesh. Vakratunda Mahakaya, Surya Koti Samaprabha, Nirvignam Kurume Deva, Sarva Karyeshu Sarvada. Is my screen clearly visible, Nidhi?
Yes, it's visible. You can just click on hide. Yeah.
Lokasangraha model of development, insights from the life of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. So we will be discussing where the concept Lokasangraha appears in Bhagavad Gita, in which chapter and which lok, and what was the background for Bhagavan Krishna to mention this concept of Lokasangraha. And later, through the example of Devi Ahilyabai's governance, we will discuss how her governance model can be considered a very practical implementation of the idea of Lokasangraha. Initially, we would be discussing what challenges, what issues we face today, and what makes us to think about the indigenous ideas. Then we will discuss in brief about the concept of Lokasangraha and how various scholars and thinkers have interpreted the term Lokasangraha for its various dimensions and implementations. And then finally, we will be discussing a few examples from the life of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar, how she encapsulates the idea of Lokasangraha in her leadership, in her governance, and her social responsibility. Beginning with, whenever the term development appears to us, in general, what is the phenomena which we imagine? Freeways, highways, concrete jungles, graphs going up, market going up. So development for us results in the form of GDP growth, infrastructure development, highways, freeways, digital advancement and penetration, scenario, a changing scenario in education system, changing health infrastructure. But unfortunately, our focus on this Western model of development results out to be VUCA and W. I suppose most of the participants would be aware of the term VUCA, volatility, uncertainty, complexity, and ambiguity. But here I would like to mention the extension to the idea of VUCA by respected Professor Harsh Purohit, who is currently serving as the Dean for the Faculty of Management Studies and Faculty of Law at Banasthali Vidyapith, that our pursuit of development makes us very ignorant towards the aspects of nature and also makes us devoid of the wisdom. Because what the Western development model, it is based on the Anthropocene view that human being is the center of creation. So everything we have around us, so human being consider it to be at his or her own disposal. And secondly, the idea which most of the people today believe in the philosophy that it is only one life. So we must exploit to whatever extent we can, and ultimately resulting in focusing only on the bottom line concerns, ignoring the other aspects of social impact or human impact of human actions on environment, which Nidhi was discussing. The disasters we see today are based on our own actions. So these are the issues we all are facing today, the challenges we all are facing today. I won't go much deep in the challenges, in the issues, but we need to focus on the solutions. Now we want sustainable development goals. We want our contribution in fulfillment of those goals, but still we are not achieving significant results because we are imposing sustainability externally. Okay? Our mindset is that we own everything. And external concept, external enforcement of sustainability is not able to bring results. So what would be the solution? Where do we need to shift now? What Indian knowledge systems, why the national education policy is focusing on IKS as a first research area? Because we need solutions from our own concepts. How will we be able to achieve sustainability or holistic development? It has to come through dharma. Bharatiya model works on the idea of dharma at the core, dharma at the foundation. We believe in the principle of Punarjanma Siddhant, Karma Phalka Siddhant. It is not only one life. We have multiple lives, and which makes us very mindful of our actions. Because whatever we are doing, definitely the result will be visible. Whatever we are facing today, it is because of the actions we made in the past. Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran you will find the mention of 10 Lakshan of Dharma, which we'll be discussing in the FDP, proposed FDP. Dhriti, Kshama, Dhamma, Asteya, Satya, Dhi, Vivek, to differentiate between right and wrong, Santulan, Atma Niyantran. All this, if achieved, will definitely bring sustainability as a byproduct of the Dharma. Scholars like Vinoba Bhave have mentioned that sustainability could be achieved only when there is a spiritual component, empathy, compassion. So through Dharma, we can inculcate in ourselves the qualities like empathy, concern, humanity, and responsibility for not just ourselves, but everything we have surrounding us. It will come through Dharma. We don't need any external enforcement to work on sustainability, but following Dharma will ultimately bring sustainability. So if we want development to be progressive, if we want development to be sustainable, if we want development holistic, then where do we need to focus? We need to focus ultimately from the solutions from ancient Indian wisdom. That's what IKS also focuses on. That's what NEP focuses, to bring out theories, to bring out those models which are rooted in our own culture, context, and civilizational experiences. That's what we need today. And so comes the core idea of this webinar, the concept of Lokasangraha from Bhagavad Gita. At what point of time Bhagwan Krishna have to mention Lokasangraha? Arjun was in a very typical state of dilemma. And वो कृष्ण से कहते हैं कि युद्ध का परिणाम जो भी हो, हमें किस बात का सुख मिलेगा, हमें किस बात की खुशी होगी. There will be loss on both the sides. Even the Pandavas are going to lose some of their people, and even the Kauravas are going to lose. Okay. Whoever we are seeing today, all these Maharathis, all these Yodhas, we don't know who would be eliminated at the end of the war. So Keshav, it's better I'm giving away the war, and I would like to live a life like a sannyasi, seeking alms. I don't want to indulge in this karma, Keshav. Now here Bhagwan Krishna brings out the concept of Lokasangraha. Karmanaiva hi sansiddhi masita janakataya Lokasangraha mevapi sampashan kartumarasi. And in the second shlok, Krishna offers the reason why. Yadyadat charati shreshthas tattat evidero janaha sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anuvartat. Krishna tells to Arjun, you need to come out of the narrow considerations of your own loss, own gain, your likes, your dislikes, that your actions are not solely limited to your own endeavors. The impact of your actions are going to be profound. The impact of your actions are going to shape the society. So it is your responsibility to make your actions in accordance to the idea of Lokasangraha. व्यक्तिगत लाभ हानि से ऊपर उठ के लोक कल्याण के लिए सोचो. So here comes the concept of Lokasangraha. The purpose behind all the human actions should be Lokasangraha, welfare of everyone, well-being of everyone, and to maintain the world order again. And maintenance of the world order is also one of the reasons which Bhagwan Krishna mentions, that why do I take human incarnations? Because whenever I see that there is loss to the dharma, I need to reinstate it. Similarly, it is the responsibility of every individual to work for the idea of Lokasangraha. And especially for leaders, especially for Arjun, he was mentioning why. Arjun, a Sarvashreshta Dhanurdhar, a famous Pandava. Whatever actions you are going to perform, Arjun, definitely the society will look up to you. At the decisive moment, at the very important moment, at the Dharma Yudh, what did Arjun do? Cowardly. He wanted to quit, that I won't fight, I won't perform my duty as a Kshatriya. So what message are you going to deliver to the society? Whatever action you will perform, people will observe. People will use your examples. People will follow your standards. So it becomes more imperative for you to work in accordance with Lokasangraha. Focus your actions on the larger well-being, Arjun, and the responsibility increases manifold if you are an important person in society. So there are many interpretations, translations, and commentaries available. Here I have adopted the translations from Gita Super site developed by IIT Kanpur. Further, if we see from the concept of Lokasangraha, various scholars, various thinkers have interpreted this concept for multiple domains. Definitely, Gita suggests that it has to be in accordance with maintaining the order and system in the world. Lokmanya Tilak interprets Lokasangraha to rise above personal gains and personal benefits and integrate our actions considering common good in all the actions. Vinoba Bhave mentions that welfare and well-being can be achieved only when we inculcate the spiritual component. Until and unless you have empathy, compassion, solidarity with others, how are you going to achieve Lokasangraha? So bring in the spiritual component and work for the welfare and well-being of everyone. Human actions, the only purpose of human actions is to work for the benefit and well-being of the larger audience around. Creating social good. Okay. Ramakrishna, Sri Aurobindo, what they mentioned, they used the concept of Lokasangraha to create harmony in society, at the maximum benefit for everyone. Professor Satya P. Agrawal has written immensely on the aspect of Lokasangraha in his two famous books, The Social Role of the Gita, The Social Message of the Gita. That what is dharma? Dharma itself is something which sustains it. Dharer iti dharma. So how are we going to preserve dharma or order or balance in the world? It has to do our swadharma. And our swadharma, the purpose of our swadharma should be Lokasangraha. How beautifully various scholars, thinkers have interpreted this concept of Lokasangraha. And ultimately why? Because people are going to observe you. People are going to follow your examples. So always through your actions, you need to think that what good examples I'm going to set. And further, scholars such as Arapura brings in the element of Vedanta, that whatever we see around us is the manifestation of the divine. So everything, all living beings are interconnected. So the extent of Lokasangraha should not be specifically focused to society or humanity. It must be extended to environment and ecological considerations as well. So the spectrum of Lokasangraha is very broad and it can be interpreted in various ways. So here I am focusing only on what scholars have interpreted based on the mention of Lokasangraha in Bhagavad Gita. In the proposed FDP, we will be looking forward how we can capture the ideas related to Lokasangraha from Shanti Parva of Mahabharata, from Valmiki Ramayana, and from various slokas of Durga Saptashati, which all makes us towards work for this common goal of larger well-being, not just for human beings, but for ecology as well. So this is the idea of Lokasangraha, and this is how it brings enormous potential to deal the challenges today in terms of governance or leadership, and how to bring in the ideas, how to bring in the results for achieving sustainability, inclusivity, well-being, welfare, larger pace. And most importantly, the Bharatiya model of development. The last point is very important, it's very unique. Whatever development, progress, benefits, expansions, advancements we want to see, it is not going to be all the external elements. It has to come from within. Until and unless the leader is on the path of dharma, we cannot imagine the drastic changes to happen in society. Because ultimately what even we see in Western education of leadership, in Western definition of leadership as well, leader has the ability to inspire, to influence, and bring people to a common goal. So when leader knows that people are going to observe me, I will be followed, someone is watching me, his or her responsibility increases manifold. I have to be very, very mindful now of my actions. The position of leading is not a position of privilege. It is a position of responsibility. The leader has to be on the path of dharma first, and then only the results can be achieved. So this was in brief about the idea of Lokasangraha, and now we are going to see how Devi Ahilyabai Holkar has incorporated this Lokasangraha in her governance model. Nidhi, do we take any queries till now, or I shall proceed?
I think, Dr. Pallavi, it is best if we take all the questions in the last 10 minutes. So unless, of course, if participants do have any specific questions on the concept of Lokasangraha, which you have focused in your presentation until now, we can take it, but I think let's do it at the end. Meanwhile, if there are any lingering questions, I request participants to please put those in the chat box. I'll keep a track of that.
Let's come to the example of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. What is something very unique which we can see in her image? Any quick responses?
Yes, any responses from participants?
Anything unique which you are able to see in the image of Ahilyabai?
Compassionate, Harsh Ji is saying. Harsh Rohit sir, is he your teacher?
He is our dean at.
Oh, okay. Welcome, sir. Welcome, sir. I thought so. Hearty welcome to you. Okay, she's holding shivling in her hand.
Yes.
Okay, yes, she's a
shivling in her hand.
Correct. Yeah.
Devi Ahilyabai surrendered, devoted her entire life, her governance, her kingdom, her resources, everything to Bhagwan Shiv. So she was a perfect example of Tyag, of giving away the sense of doership, giving away the sense of ego. Everything belongs to the divine. Completely rejecting the Anthropocene view that we are the center of creation. No, divine is the center of creation. Ishwar is the center of creation, and we are just the medium. Okay. So nearly about she ruled the empire of Malwa, the kingdom of Malwa, for around 30 years, and this was the time in the history, Indian history, wherein a female leader, a woman leader, okay, worked in such a manner that this period is considered golden period in the history of Malwa. Everything flourished, be it trade, be it culture, everything. Responsibility, people were happy, people were satisfied, except no other invasions, and even the Nizam of Hyderabad and every other ruler were in all praise for Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. And though we consider her as a ruler, but what the people consider her is Matushri. She was Ma. She was a motherly figure to the people of Malwa. Now, before we go deep that what made her ruler of Malwa, I want to share a brief history about the kingdom of Malwa. Subedar Mallara Holkar was the first Subedar who worked hard for the empire of Malwa. But unfortunately, what happened? Devi Ahilybai's husband, Khande Rao, died at an early age. Then Ahilyabai Holkar also suffered the loss of her father-in-law. She also had to weep on the death of her own son. And Malwa was in a very challenging, a very difficult situation. So, Raghunath Rao Peshwa. Now, if anyone has watched the, I suppose people might have watched the movie Bajirao Mastani, and there was a famous Shaniwar Wada palace in Pune. And some people say that it is still a haunted place because the same Raghunath Rao had murdered Peshwa Narayan Rao in the palace in the Shaniwar Wada. And it was the same Raghunath Rao who thought to hatch a conspiracy against Malwa ki Ahilya to akeli abla vidwa nari hai, wo kya karegi? Aisa sadgi jeevan to jeeti hai, Shiv bhakt hai. So it's a good time for me ki main kabza karu. Okay. Now, what was the approach of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar? It was a very pressing time for her because she had witnessed the loss of 3 important persons in her life. But she never lost a hope, because her father-in-law entrusted the responsibility of people of Malwa to Ahilyabai and said that always keep your public duty above your personal duty, above your personal self. So who can imagine that a lady But divinely like Lady Ahilyabai can turn out to be a warrior. She mentioned कि मुझे अबला समझते हैं, जरूरत पड़ने पे I can also take a रूप of a चंडी. So the first thing she did, she had a well-maintained network of spies as she trained herself from her father-in-law. And the first thing she did, in the limited period of time, she gave basic elementary military training to all the women that we are going to face the army of Raghunath Rao at the front. Because what he considers कि एक अबला बचा नहीं पाएगी मालवा को, but we will give a tough fight. All women will give a tough fight. She also wrote diplomatic letters to other Pawars, Gaikwads, and Scindias to have support them. And at last, she used a very diplomatic strategy. She wrote a letter to Raghunath Rao. What do you feel? कि मालवा के पास अब कोई साथ नहीं है, कोई ताकतवर नहीं है, सूबेदार नहीं रहे तो क्या हुआ? I am a wife of one, I am a daughter-in-law of one, and I was mother of one. Will give you tough fight. हमको अबला नहीं समझिए. Just imagine अगर if you defeat this women army and you capture Malwa, you won't get glory, because this is what your perception about us being abla. But never imagine, always imagine, okay? Suppose if our women army defeats you, you won't be able to, present yourself to anybody else. And this letter, made Raghunath Rao realize, जीत के भी कुछ नहीं होगा और हार गए तो फिर कितना कुछ नुकसान होगा. So this was the first incident which made her assume the responsibility of Malwa. ठीक है, कोई उत्तराधिकार नहीं है, कोई no male successor is present, I will assume the responsibility. And the first thing she did, she shifted the capital from Indore to Maheshwar. In the background, you will see the fort of Maheshwar. And here comes the essence or the heart of the idea of Lokasangraha of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. At the left, you will see the image which is still mounted at the fort of Maheshwar. And the right side, I have translated it in English for the sake of the audience who are not comfortable in Hindi. Here comes the model. Leadership or the power to rule, it's not a privilege, but it is a sacred responsibility. A responsibility which is entrusted by Bhagwan himself, by Ishwar himself. So it makes me more than accountable to this responsibility. And what is the purpose of me being a ruler? Raja ko sukhi rakhna, ensuring well-being, welfare, prosperity, security of all my people. And later we will see that for Ahilyabai, Praja does not mean just the people of Malwa. Whatever initiatives we have seen in terms of her social responsibility or infrastructure development, we see that her approach was pan-India, not just limited to the people of Malwa. She herself assumed that I will be responsible, I will be accountable and answerable for all those actions which I will be performing based on the position of power I am holding. So power itself brings responsibility. Power brings answerability. I have to be answerable to God because He is watching me. People are watching me. So through all my actions, I have to be very honest. Then, mera yahan kuch bhi nahi hai. Everything belongs to the divine. No ownership, no possession. This also brings Gandhiji's concept of trusteeship. Give away the possession, everything for the benefit of all, as a trustee. So she assumed herself, I'm just a medium, I'm just a sevika for the people of Malwa. Whatever possessions I have, whatever I have attained, be my personal inheritance of the khasgi or the trust, the loyalty from the people of Malwa, nothing belongs to me. Everything belongs to Ishwar, Bhagwan Shiv, and I give it back to Bhagwan Shiv in all sorts. Sab kuch mere upar rid. Give away everything to Bhagwan Shiv, and I'm serving Bhagwan Shiv in the form of his human dwellings. People, my own people. Jo kuch bhi mere paas hai, whatever I have, it becomes a sacred debt on me. And through all my actions, I have to be very mindful, very thoughtful. How am I going to repay this debt? Being in the position of power, supreme responsibility for maintenance of people, for making people happy, for ensuring protection of people. Here comes the idea of Lokasangraha, of Devi Ahilyabai. Here comes the genesis, her vision for the model of Lokasangraha, her vision for governance. Nothing for self, everything for the people. Why? Because it is a sacred responsibility and you have to be answering. For this, you need to be self-disciplined, personal discipline, self-development, irrespective of whatever challenges you have. We'll be discussing about the Lakshan of Dharma. The first one is Dhriti. हर स्थिति में संतुलन, हर स्थिति में, हर challenges में सम रहने की ability. This is what the vision of Lokasangraha. This is what the vision of governance inspired by the idea of Lokasangraha Ahilyabai mentions. Nishkam Karm, definitely. Lokasangraha, definitely. Satvik Jivan, definitely. Everything we can find in a life, which definitely inclines with the idea of Lokasangraha. So, in the proposed FDP, we will be discussing various aspects. We focusing today on how to bring inclusivity in governance so that benefits reach to everyone. So we will be discussing this through the example of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar's approach of dealing with the Bhils or tribes who were at one time very troublesome for the people of Malwa, and how she turned them into be loyal officers for Malwa. Her sense of diplomacy in dealing with other states and foreign relations. We'll be also discussing a case. Once there was a land dispute between Scindias and Holkars. So Mahadaji Scindia said that I trust Ahilya, वो निष्पक्ष निर्णय लेगी, भले dispute मालवा और Scindias के बीच में है, फिर भी अहिल्या निर्णय लेगी क्योंकि उसका निर्णय unbiased होगा. Justice, a sense of justice with Anant Mandi or other dacoits or other deals. Even he was the one who was very instrumental in imposing a fine on her own husband that you have disrespected the books of accounts. She never hesitated to punish her own son, just as she would have punished any common man. Her approach of social responsibility, again extending not just to Malwa but pan India. Sir John Malcolm, a famous historian, mentions, today if we see, today still it is not very easy for us to reach Gangotri, but during those times when we had British rule in India, Sir John Malcolm mentions that I somehow reached Gangotri, okay, navigating a lot of challenges, and I was amazed to find कि वहाँ पे भी अहिल्याबाई द्वारा बनवाई गई एक धर्मशाला पहले से था, ठीक है. काशी विश्वनाथ, सोमनाथ, whatever temples, Banaras के घाट was all through Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. How she involved common people in decision making. And she had a criteria that decisions should be such which should be acceptable for the people who are going to be affected for it. Now we sitting at the governance, we having power, we cannot make decisions, okay, which cannot be justified by our own people. A sense of cultural restoration. Many scholars today, if ever people know about Ahilyabai, then that know कि भी उन्होंने मंदिरों के जीर्णोद्धार के लिए कितना काम किया. But even her cultural contribution brings back economy or social responsibility, justice at the core. How her cultural initiatives also resulted in advancements at other factors as well. Economic well-being. The proposed FDP, we will be looking to numerous facts from the state records, data of her expenditure, how instrumental she was in reducing the tax rates. Okay. Currently also, people are very happy that this Diwali, the government is going to give us the benefits of reduction in taxes. Even on her deathbed, she was focused, how will I reduce the taxes for my people? And she was very successful in reducing the tax rates for her people. That's what gained loyalty from her own people, lastly, philanthropy, and many other components which we'll be looking forward in the proposed FDP. So, as suggested by Dr. Nidhi ji, in the proposed FDP, we would be looking more about how to live a life, the sense of purpose of Lokasangraha in the FDP. We'll also relate the ideas of Lokasangraha from other scriptures, which I have already mentioned, and more examples from the life of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar, and specifically focusing to the issues or the concept of women empowerment in ancient times. Today we see Maheshwari sarees as a famous brand. Ahilyabai Holkar played a very pivotal and instrumental role in bringing out the idea of Maheshwari saris, and still today it holds a ground and very successful. And thus we'll be discussing a lot of lessons which we can inculcate today in terms of the issues of decision making or governing or sustainability in CSR, in decisions, in policy making, in philanthropy, etc. So this was all for today. Now, as suggested by Nidhi, she asked me to share that what motivated me to do research on these topics. So it was in 2020 when we had a workshop at Banastali Vidyapeeth, and Professor DPS Bhavu, who is working at the University of Hawaii at Honolulu, mentioned that if we see the history of India, okay, we had an enormous plethora of various leaders available. तो जब हम लीडरशिप की बात करें तो आज वेस्टर्न कंसेप्ट में आप देखते हैं सर्वेंट लीडरशिप और ट्रांसफॉर्मेटरी लीडरशिप और ट्रांजैक्शनल लीडरशिप. सो ही मेंशंस दैट वो भाव ही नहीं आता उसमें, क्यों नहीं आता. सो ही सजेस्टेड मी कि आप ऐसा कोई मॉडल पे काम करिए फ्रॉम अवर स्क्रिप्चर्स थ्रू मनुस्मृति और थ्रू महाभारत और रामायण की ब्रिंग आउट our own model of leadership and governance. So that motivated me to, focus my research on the area. And secondly, when I thought, okay, we can include historical leaders, so why not Devi Ahilyabai Holkar? Because I belong to Indore. So the first thing I did was I approached Srimati Sumitra Mahajanji, who has been longest serving member of parliament in Indore and next speaker of Lok Sabha. So she mentioned and she also mentioned that she played a very instrumental role in establishing the statue of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar in the premises of Parliament. She mentioned that ये तो वो है who have actually governed. तो आज के government को तो उनसे lesson सीखना ही है. And she herself shared that she was very inspired by the life of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. So she supported me greatly by providing me a lot of resources, books, and contacts to further do my research on to include the case of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar for my research. And then I visited Maheshwar Fort or the office of Khasgi Trust, whatever infrastructure Devi Ahilyabai created. So the Khasgi Trust still looks after them. So this motivated me to research. The suggestion by Professor DPS Bhavuk and the further support, motivation, and guidance and help by Srimati Sumitra Mahajanji. So that's all from my side. Thank you so much. And I'm ready for any questions, comments, or suggestions by the participants.
Thank you so much, Dr. Pallavi ma'am. Very insightful session. I think you can keep your email ID slide for some time on the screen. If any participant wants to make a note of your email ID, they can. So once again, Dr. Pallavi, thank you so much for this very interesting, insightful, and unique session. I think most of us who are invested in IKS are exploring our ancient Indic heroes and heroines, and Devi Ahilyabai Holkar is also one among them. My parents are also from Madhya Pradesh. They have lived in Bhopal, Indore, Jabalpur. I was born in Jabalpur, by the way, though right now I am more Gujarati than anybody else. So you took us back to this very important concept of Lokasangraha, and you also shared key ideas on how Devi Ahilyabai's life history, her works, her philosophy have contributed to the development of this idea and how it can be taken ahead. And I think this is amply demonstrated through your own research. So without any further delay, I'll take a few questions that I can see in the chat box. Harsh sir, I'll come to both of your questions in a moment. We can take Bhavya ji's question. She's asking, how can the principle of Lokasangraha be applied in modern society, organizations, and governance to balance self-interest with collective welfare?
Bhavya, as I was mentioning, that the principle of Lokasangraha, which all the scholars have also mentioned, that we need to first define the purpose of our actions. Okay? Whatever we perform, we have a certain goal, that our actions, our initiatives are inclined towards that goal. So Lok Sangraha can be achieved, can be applied when we have a vision that why do we need to do? Okay, what is the purpose? Okay, our purpose should be such which encapsulates larger well-being. So any of the actions, if we see is in accordance with Lok Sangraha, or at any manner if we can contribute, then we can believe that we can achieve Lok Sangraha at our personal level as well. Okay, just self niyantran, ya fir very mindful of our actions. As Professor, I remember one of the concept of Professor Subhash Sharma, cost benefit analysis or burden benefit analysis. What rationally people ask us to do, where we have, the cost for us is minimum and benefit is multifold, we should go for that option. But what the burden benefit analysis suggests, that whatever actions we are going to perform or whatever interest we have, we need to make sure that what minimum harm through our actions can be on society or can be on environment, because we cannot contribute to environment. We cannot, but we can make sure through our actions that we are not exploiting or degenerating anything. So if we are mindful of our actions in such regard, then I think we can achieve Lok Sangraha.
Right. And I think it could also be a trickle-down effect, Bhavyaji, since you have spoken about how it can be applied at the macro level in society, organizations, governance, bureaucracy, judiciary, leadership, etc. It would need, in my personal opinion, it would need a lot of massive reformation, given the kind of colonial systems that are so deeply ingrained in all domains of our society. So it missed, we always criticize the top-down approach, but in some cases the top-down approach may really work. I'm not from the management background, but still. Okay, now Jitendra ji has appreciated your session, Dr. Pallavi ma'am. I am sure that most of you who have benefited from this session will surely definitely join Pallavi ji's FDP. We are in the planning phase, so I request everyone to hold on and wait for more updates and instructions from our side.
Thank you so much, Jitendra ji.
Yeah. Some participants have requested for your PPT, Dr. Pallavi ma'am. If it is okay for you, you may share it. If it's not okay, that's perfectly fine. Now I'll take Pallavi ma'am's teacher's question, Harsh sir's question. I'll just have to go back. Yeah.
Able to see. How do you see?
I'll read it out for you. So there are two questions by Harsh sir, and Sangeeta ma'am, we'll come back to you. I'll get back to you after this question. How do you see the current corporate environment in terms of following the Lokasangraha? I think, yeah, that's the question that Harsh sir is asking.
So that, sir, there are various organizations functioning today who somehow still follow the concepts of Lok Sangraha. Not all, but some definitely. And these are those organizations whose leaders believe in the idea of Lok Sangraha. Okay, just as we can see DMRC is functioning today, a public sector enterprise with zero case of corruption, with zero bureaucratic interference, and completing projects before the deadline. Because Dr. E. Sridharan was very instrumental in making out DMRC possibility. And in a lot of his interviews, he mentions that, he even mentions the idea of Lokasangraha. He cites the shlokas from Bhagavad Gita that this makes me work for the larger well-being. So the organization should also have a vision. As Simon Sinek mentions, that you need to start with why. Then you go on how and what. Okay, so the corporates today, most of the corporates, if they are not able to fulfill this scenario because they are themselves not mindful of the why, or they have failed to pass on the why or vision or purpose of their organizations to their coming employees. So we can see some institutions, some organizations definitely following. So we can see a case of Narayana Healthcare by Dr. Devi Prasad Shetty. We can consider it also as a good model of believing in Lokasangraha. Now, Sridhar Bamboo is coming with Zoho Corporation. It's not just your organization your achievements. It also your responsibility towards your own people. That's how the concept of Lokasangraha comes into being. I hope
Correct.
that I have answered your question to my full capacity.
Yes, I actually have a friend who works with Zoho, Sridhar Vembu's organization, and he actually has shared a lot about the very positive, encouraging, mindful work culture at this organization. And what is also very interesting that the headquarters of his organization are not based out of any big metro town. He has taken it to his own town or to some rural setting. And if people are interested, you can follow him on Twitter. I think his insights on Indian economy, Indian culture are also pretty useful. um, uh, छोटा सा एक पॉइंट मैं ऐड करना चाहूंगी कि आजकल हम कॉर्पोरेट्स में DEI, डाइवर्सिटी, इक्विटी, इंक्लूसिविटी का कंसेप्ट देखते हैं. So there's lot of research and study going on about how DEI is like a imported Western concept, and there are DEI officers, managers, and how it's not fit for the Indic context. And I think again I'll come back to the concept of trickling down. If the leader, जितने भी एग्जाम्पल्स अभी पल्लवी मैम ने शेयर किए, जो कॉर्पोरेट्स में इंडिक आइडियाज को इंक्लूड कर सके हैं, आई थिंक इट केम डाउन फ्रॉम द विजन ऑफ द लीडरशिप. So if the leader at the top is a believer in Indic values, in dharmic values, and his or her own life is guided by dharmic ideas, then that will trickle down to their work and their organizations. Okay, Sangeeta ji, you can go ahead. Neha Mishra ji has appreciated your session, one of a kind session which makes us feel proud of our cultures, ethos, and leaders. Yogita ji said that she's visited Maheshwar twice and she's felt the divinity and energy of Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. Thank you so much, Yogita ji, for sharing. This kind of sharing and insights from our participants is what makes the session very fruitful. Purnima ji, thank you for your appreciation. Pallavi ma'am, I'll pass all of this on to Pallavi ma'am later on. Participants, I want to all of you to please kindly note that I've put the feedback form link in the chat box. I'll share it again. Meanwhile, let's go ahead with Sangeeta ji's question. Yes, please go ahead, Sangeeta Garg ji.
Yeah, thank you so much, ma'am. It was really very insightful, and it brought me so much of nostalgia because I've been brought up, in that environment, the state of Madhya Pradesh, actually. And then I've been inspired a lot by, especially Ahilyabai and Lakshmi Bai and all have been brought up like that. And now also they really inspire me, especially from the women empowerment and so on. And just wanted to know from my own research that I'm trying to do is what I mean, do you have any kind of research done for the other women related research who have been doing this Lokasangraha in the past also, right? I mean, prior to Devi Ahilyabai, or do you have that kind of collection of heroines in our ancient Indian history? I mean, such kind of that you have done.
Yeah, Sangeeta ji, at Panasthali Vidyapeeth, we have completed a project on women leadership from ancient times as well as modern times, which was sponsored by National Foundation for Corporate Governance. So there are a lot of studies which we have, stories which we have inculcated. But with the context of Lokasangraha, I would very humbly like to share that for most of the other women leaders, the situation for them was very emergency situation, because they were up to fight even for the Britishers or the other invaders. So this was not the case with Devi Ahilyabai Holkar. So that's why she had ample time to focus on development and prosperity. But yes, definitely, I would share that project report with you as well. So if it is beneficial to you, we would be more than happy at Vanastari Vidyapeeth.
Sure, ma'am.
Thank
I
you.
would definitely like to connect with you if that is okay with you.
Yeah, definitely. Sure.
Yeah. Pallavi ma'am, you can kindly put your email ID in the WhatsApp group.
हाँ,
Thank you. Thank you, Puneet. Thank you, Pallavi ma'am, for the response. Sangeeta ji, for that question. Both of you can connect. Harsh sir, definitely we intend to invite Dr. Pallavi for an extended FDP on this topic or any other allied topic. We will discuss it and we plan to do it soon. Puneet ji, thank you for that observation. I think Puneet ji, we are connected on LinkedIn. And yes, DEI is a political campaign, definitely. I think more research from the Indic perspective could be explored. We have time for only 2 questions because I have to do closing formalities as well. So we'll take a question by Neeti ji. How did Ahilyabai Holkar's approach to charitable works reflect the essence of Lokasangraha or collective upliftment of the society? That's one question. Okay, yes, Puneetji is saying that this session deserves a book. Is that what you're saying, Puneetji? So we look forward to a book being written by Dr. Pallavi ji soon.
Puneet ji, thank you so much. The book is already in progress.
That's great, that's great. So मैं नीति जी का क्वेश्चन फिर से पढ़ूं आपके लिए. How did Ahilyabai Holkar's approach to charitable works reflect the essence of Lokasangraha or collective upliftment of society?
So, Niti ji, thank you so much for this wonderful question. So her approach to charity or whatever she made it appear for her people was also had a component of empowering her own people. Yeah, collective upliftment definitely. She focused in her charitable works that if all the people she makes sure are fed properly, then definitely there would be less crimes in society. And secondly, through her charitable works, which I have already discussed, that were not limited to Malwa only. So her scope of charity was pan-India, across India, yeah, north, south, east, west. So through her charitable works, she also created a lot of jobs for the people who were taking care after her charitable works. See, John Welcome mentioned a Dharamshala at Gangotri. Okay, so she needed more people. So she made sure when society has to progress, when Lok Sangrah has to be achieved, then she need to bring in opportunities for her people. So through whatever means she did it, through charity, through infrastructure development, or inviting weavers, artisans, scholars, and giving them facilities to work at Maheshwar. So everything is definitely her charity, her all her activities, all her initiatives we can see were inclined for Lok Sangra or collective well-being and collective upliftment for society. And also, I'm not able to recall the name. Shikha ji has mentioned about कि उनका पशु प्रेम, उनका उसके लिए प्रेम, ठीक है? She was very instrumental in establishing more of the goshalas or how to take care of the species. Also, she invested amount of her funds for taking care of biodiversity. So everything we can incorporate.
Great, thank you. So just wanted this understanding from you, Dr. Pallavi ma'am, that when we do the FDP, will we be focusing solely on Devi Ahilyabai Holkar's idea of Lok Sangra, idea and actions towards Lok Sangra, or will there be some discussion on other thinkers and thought leaders as well?
Definitely, we will be having example of Devi Ahilyabai from the ancient time, but we'll also look more cases of the organizations today who are believing in the concept of Lok Sangra and bringing out challenges. So this is an example, you can say, a source of learning for us, how to make those changes today, how to make those improvements today. So we'll be focusing on more, definitely.
Right, great. Thank you, Shikhaji, for that insightful comment in the chat box. I urge all participants to read it. And we'll take the last question today by Kritika ji. Kritika ji, you can unmute yourself. I see your hand raised. Kritika Gowda. Can you unmute yourself, Kritika ji? Okay, maybe that was a hand raised by mistake. So, just one last thing about the VUCA framework that you mentioned in the initial part of your presentation. Could you explain a little bit about it? Is it an indigenous framework?
Actually is the situation which we are facing today, what we are seeing in the society, things which we are out of control, uncertain or sudden changes or complexities or ambiguities. So the scenario which we are seeing today, so VUCA I've used just to get a glimpse of this is the example, and what Professor Harsher extended that the scenario of VUCA was further more complicated by nature, apathy, and wisdom test. So it was a glimpse of the challenges or the issues which we are seeing in the society now. So VUCA is not an indigenous context, but yes, the extension of it by Professor Harsher definitely is from indigenous context.
Great, thank you. Because I believe that as academics and faculty members, especially now that we are devoted and dedicated to IKS, we must not just provide a critique of Western frameworks, but we must also offer not alternative, but frameworks, models, theories, concepts emerging from our own understanding. And this kind of work should be contributed to journals, books, etc., so that we are able to create that citation loop, and we have a bank of academic literature which future scholars and researchers can depend upon when they extend this kind of work. Yeah. So, yeah, thank you. That's why I was interested in understanding whether it is an indigenous framework or not. Great. So, thank you, everyone, for joining this session. Thanks to all our participants for your excellent and enthusiastic response to this session, for your enthused participation, for your comments and appreciation for Dr. Pallavi ji in the chat box. I'm sure she is quite motivated to extend this to a full-fledged FDP very soon with us. I also thank my team at NLD, because nothing is possible without cooperation and support from teams. So Dr. Vikas, Dr. Pratibha, and Dr. Pradyuman sir, thank you so much. Of course, thank you, Dr. Pallavi, for accepting and honoring our invite and agreeing to do this session. It turned out to be very, very interesting, insightful, and I'm sure the major takeaway from this for all of us here is that we need to invest ourselves more and more in serious scholarship on IKS. I'm sure that is the key learning takeaway for all of us, apart from what we have all been discussing so far. Thank you, Dr. Harsh sir. And
Nidhi ji, I would say that it was very well coordinated, and we look forward to more such sessions in the coming time. And it's so nice we have come in touch and connected. And on the noble theme of IKS, all of us are there to work on and work together and do research. So I think this is really, really very wonderful. And I'm very happy to see one of my friends, Mr. Puneet Mudgil also is doing so wonderful work in the area of IKS. He has also joined. So very nice. I think this has provided a platform for all of us to join. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you so much, sir. It was our honor to have you, and I extend you this invitation to come to Gujarat. Please do come so that we can also benefit from your expertise and your knowledge. Thank you so much. And thank you also to Dr. Ankur Joshi, sir, who has already done an FDP with us, which was much widely acknowledged and appreciated. So with support and blessings from seniors like you, we'll go a long way, hopefully. Great. So I hope that all participants have noted the feedback link. I have also posted the link of a WhatsApp group that we have. It's an
Thank you so much.
Oh,
We're appreciating your webinar, and we're enjoying so much, ma'am. And yes, and in the next webinar, if you taking one topic, if I suggest you, then give the some important topic about the Upanishad and Vedas. Upanishad and Ved, Rigved, Samved, Atharvaved. What are the main clauses of God? How to achieve God? How to मतलब आत्मा परमात्मा से जो भी रिलेटेड टॉपिक है उस पे एक प्लीज वेबिनार बनाइए. ओके,
बिल्कुल बिल्कुल
तो
आशीष जी,
इट्स
आप
वेरी
प्लीज.
हेल्दी टू अबाउट द इनिशियंट और हमारा जो प्रीवियस इतिहास रहा है भगवान के बारे में, प्रकृति
हाँ
के बारे में, वो सब बात एक वेबिनार में आप कलेक्ट करके बताइए. ओके
बिल्कुल
मैम,
आशीष जी, मैं आपसे अनुरोध करूंगी कि आप
ओके,
थोड़ा ये चैट पे
थैंक यू
मुझे,
मैम.
मैं उस ग्रुप में हूँ, आप लिख कर भेजिए सो दैट आई कैन डिस्कस इट विथ माय टीम एंड हम इसको थोड़ा स्ट्रीमलाइन कर सकते हैं. सो आप लिख कर जरूर अपना सजेशन भेजिए. हमारा एक IKS का व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप है, IKS रिसर्च एंथुसियास्ट. अंकुर सर इज ऑलरेडी अ पार्ट ऑफ इट. सो दिस इज लाइक अ वन कलेक्टिव point or forum where we are posting updates about IKS, webinars, conferences, FDPs, opportunities, sessions, collaborations, etc. So anybody who wants to join it, it's an open group. There's no hierarchy or formality involved. You can post, you can share, you can connect with like-minded people. And in the near future, we will extend it to a kind of an IKS study circle, a monthly or a fortnightly study circle, where we can spend some time doing some scholarly work. So I have posted the link again in the WhatsApp group. You can please note it and feel free to join, and also feel free to recommend it to your colleagues and friends. Yeah, and again, posting the link of the feedback form because we will close it very soon. So thank you so much, everyone. Please keep following NLD on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, and LinkedIn. If you are in one of our WhatsApp groups, you will continue to receive updates about our upcoming FDPs. The very next IKS FDP that we are doing is on the idea of Indic local self-governance by Ms. Tanya, who's actually an expert in the Arthashastra. Previously, she has facilitated an FDP on Arthashastra on our platform, and this is the second round that we are doing an FDP on Indic local self-governance that will start from 8th of September till the 13th of September. Yes, and we have upcoming FDPs planned on IKS and management. So there's a lot happening. So if you are in the WhatsApp group, you will keep getting all the updates. Once again, thank you, Pallavi ma'am.
Thank you so much.
It was a wonderful lecture, presentation, discussion, all put into one. And we all wish you all the best for the great work that you are doing in this area. And I'm sure that with teachers like you to guide students into pursuing IKS, the future of education in particular and our country in general is very, very bright. Again, wishing everyone a very happy Teachers' Day. I'm sure all of you have plans in your own institutions to celebrate this. So wish you a great day and thank you for joining. Namaste.
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Namaste.